There is a place where heroes vanquish evil, and they do it every single morning.
Jetix!
Called Power Rangers Generations.
Power up! Ha!
Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Power Rangers S.P.D.
I am Shadow Ranger!
Rise! Every morning starting at 7/6 Central, and let loose the champions of
Jetix!
Jetix. Does anybody remember this little guy right here? They were the home to Power Rangers for multiple years during the 2000s. Sorry. It was a little action block that aired on Toon Disney as well as ABC Family and was born to store a whole bunch of new shows that the Walt Disney Company had recently acquired, including the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and its series of sequel series. But as the decade would go on, Disney would try to cancel and straight up kill Power Rangers again and again and again, and in turn also kill Jetix, because Jetix and Power Rangers are interlinked. They're twin, they're combined, and their history is linked to one another. How and why, you may ask? Well, Power Rangers in the 2000s is a crazy story to tell. The 2000s started off with a reboot of sorts of the Power Rangers franchise.
Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue is about to begin.
Because by the tail end of the 90s, Power Rangers were going through one of their biggest changes yet, and that was the end of the Zordon era. Power Rangers in Space had its big two-part finale, Countdown to Destruction, that featured many past Rangers and villains, all in one huge battle throughout space. This led right into Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, which started a new trend of a new team of heroes for each new season. They did play it safe though in a way by having it be some sort of sequel series of Power Rangers in Space, sharing a lot of the similar elements. And by the year 2000, we had our first fully independent Power Rangers team. That being Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, which was a very special season to many, mostly because we got our first original American creation, that being the Titanium Ranger, which did not appear in the Japanese counterpart series USA USA. But beyond its great moments with a new city, team, and villains, it was just the base, the mold, the start of the growth of the Power Rangers in the new decade, the 2000s. Now, Power Rangers Time Force is the butterfly effect of all of this by having a lot more mature themes, as well as focusing a lot on character development.
Time Force! Power Rangers Time Force, coming this February only on Fox Kids.
It is now known today as one of the most iconic Power Rangers series of all time, and it was during this time we got to take the most look at, as back in 2001, the Walt Disney Company was on a roll acquiring other teams, studios, and production companies, kinda like they still do today. However, this deal was mostly because they wanted control of the Fox Family Channel, which was a split joint venture between Saban Entertainment and Fox Kids. You know, the people who made Power Rangers. And Disney would end up buying the whole company just to get it, which included all the Saban Entertainment library, the Fox Kids brand name, including its international networks in both Latin America as well as in Europe. All that for the big price of, drumroll please, $3.2 billion. How much is that in inflation today? That's a lot of money. The funny thing is that Disney really did all this deal just to have more cable space. Cable TV, that was the big thing before streaming and everything, and Disney was taking over, right? They had the Disney Channel, they had the ESPN, Worldwide World of Sports, you know? They had Toon Disney for their tunes. Alongside other channels they had partial ownership in, such as A&E and the History channels. They didn't really care much for all of these random Fox Kids shows that they were acquiring, more specifically shows like Digimon and of course Power Rangers. That's so weird considering today Disney and a whole lot of the big studios are acquiring other production companies because they want their intellectual property to have on their streaming service. Disney had Power Rangers and did not want it. They didn't want any part of it at all. You know what? Disney are the villains, man. Disney are the villains. I'm wearing a shirt. The metaphors are going crazy. Disney are villains. Their new channel, called ABC Family, was meant to be hip and cool with young adults. So they decided to distribute some of these select Fox Kids shows on this new prototype action block of sorts that they were testing out on the channel. Disney's first rodeo was Power Rangers Wild Force.
Power up with Power Rangers Wild Force.
The 10th season of the series, being the first developed by Disney under their Buena Vista Entertainment banner, as well as the last series to be produced by MMPR Productions over in California, who have been doing the show since the very beginning. The first part of the series was originally broadcast over on Fox Kids, later moving in the fall of 2002 to ABC's new Saturday morning block, ABC Kids. And it was placed at a specific time in the schedule at the very end after all the educational informational shows had already aired. So since it was at the end of the block, local networks had a choice. Air it when it was supposed to at 12 p.m., air it at a random time, like 5 a.m. in my case, or just straight up not air it at all. Besides, there can be better things going on at 12 p.m. on a local network, like a major sports event or the local news. You know, we gotta know the weather. As you can tell, Disney did not want any part in Power Rangers, and they tried to force it away from viewers' eyes ever since the beginning. Disney even went as far as trying to cancel the whole franchise as soon as they got it, having no purpose for them.
We did it! The Power Rangers are over!
However, someone in production did inform them that they could save tons of money by moving the production over to New Zealand, as well as being a beautiful country that I want to visit one day. I'm a little biased on them. I will mention, of course, they were gonna end the series with a bang with Forever Red. You know, that was their big bang. They had all the Red Rangers from the past come back, except Rocky. Sorry, Rocky, we don't care much about Rocky. They had a big fight, and that was really cool for Power Ranger fans. But on the move to New Zealand, it's time for that new.
We'll be right back to Power Rangers Wild Force on ABC Family.
Whoa, 1 second, real quick. If you've been watching my videos a lot and haven't been subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe and ring the notification bell to join the E-Squad today. The E-Squad, the biggest Power Ranger fan base in the whole wide world. Don't look that up, by the way. It's 100% true. Because look at this. It's the E-Squad comment of the day. Leave a funny comment down below. Put the E-Squad in it, and I'm assuring you, I'm not lying like Disney will. You will be in the next video. I promise.
Now, back to Power Rangers Ninja Storm, the ultimate tales of the Ninja Marathon.
That new for Disney was Power Rangers Ninja Storm, being the first show fully made by Disney.
Let's go!
Power Rangers Ninja Storm. A new kind of power is coming.
Now shooting in the New Zealand. And Disney had a stroke of luck here though, with Doug Sloan and Ann Austin, former producers and writers of the series from Mighty Morphin up into Turbo, was working for Disney at the time, doing Disney Channel original movies like Johnny Tsunami. And they were put onto Ninja Storm as executive producers after asking Disney to be on the new show. Alongside Koichi Sakamoto, the new old executives bought on Jackie Marchand, a veteran writer for the series, who only 2 years prior had left due to disagreements with the executives. The show was also now non-union, which meant the actors and crew on Ninja Storm didn't get any benefits, protection, or pay rates established by any of those Hollywood unions. This also meant a hard stop on the yearly crossover episodes, which had been an icon for the series at the moment. The series would also change tone of the overall franchise by making the characters confused as to what Power Rangers are, even comparing them to silly comic book characters.
Power Rangers? You gotta be joking.
So you can tell straight up from the beginning, this show was already starting to make fun of Power Rangers as a concept. The season was centered around 3 young Ninja Academy students that battled the evil Lothor, later joined on by an evil Thunder Ranger duo and their 6th samurai hero. Originally though, if the previous Saban writers were still hired and the new series were to continue with the old MMPR Productions team, a now online famous story known as Hexagon would have been made, which would have been a Power Rangers Civil War story that starred Tommy and Jason with their own factions of Power Rangers team. However, we got the reboot of the show that had skating, biking, and surfing, and dirt bike riding, and anything that was on the X Games was on Power Rangers Ninja Storm, because that was cool. But here's the thing that Disney was noticing. They couldn't really air Power Rangers alongside their other Disney Channel-like shows like Lizzie McGuire and even Stevens. It didn't really, not even just look the same, just the vibe was totally different. So after Ninja Storm premiered and had great numbers, Disney knew what had to be done. It's time to expand. It's expanding time! Expandosaurus! Like I mentioned earlier, this Fox family deal included whole television networks and channels in Latin America and Europe. So Disney knew where to expand, it was to other countries. as Europe had their own 24/7 Fox Kids channels on air. So with these networks plus the new ABC Family Action Block and Disney's cartoon channel Toon Disney, they finally had the opportunity to put the Fox Kids assets into good use. And so they did, and that was the birth of Jetix. In 2004, all of the Fox Kids channels were put under the Jetix name, including the ABC Family Action Block. Toon Disney in the United States also got a Jetix block, airing much of the same content that ABC Family had, but now at prime time and on premium cable. Disney was to go and produce 3 original series for the block, along with acquiring many other shows. And you can tell that Disney had taken a lot of inspiration from their new adopted child. Case in point, Get Ed, Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, come on guys. Also Witch. All of these shows were mostly Power Rangers inspired in some way. With those new Jetix shows airing alongside the new Power Ranger seasons like Dino Thunder, the new Dino themed season, bringing similarities to Mighty Morphin Season 1 theme, along with bringing back veteran character Tommy Oliver, played by the late Jason David Frank.
I am the Dino Thunder Black Power Ranger. Wreck your set. Our new team, a fierce power.
And there was now a nostalgia factor here into play that would capture, old fans of Power Rangers and the new fans of Power Rangers, like, oh, we got this new team, but we also got, more than 10 years of past stuff to catch up on. Doug Sloan, Ann Austin, Jackie Marchand all returned for Dino Thunder. They even brought back the crossover episodes with the Thunderstorm 2-parter. The cast and crew made the series one of the most popular in the Disney era, and as a franchise in its entirety, now in the modern day being one of the most remembered seasons across Gen Z. Behind the scenes though, as the new Power Rangers inspired animated shows were a success for Disney, gathering a nice fan base on these premium cable shows, as well as building up the Jetix brand, the less that Disney needed Power Rangers. That was the big plan, right? Disney wanted to use the Power Rangers influence to make these new shows, new popular shows, to at a certain point stop making Power Rangers entirely. And Dino Thunder would continue the trope that the Disney shows had of making fun of Power Rangers. Oh, what is this stupid Power Rangers comic book thing, They even had a whole episode where they were dubbing the Super Sentai version Aba Ranger in a funny, weird way. They literally picked the episode where the Aba Rangers wore wigs.
Rangers! Yeah!
And my hair has bounce.
Huh. Oh, that's it. I mean, they're totally making fun of us.
And had an American baseball player coming to town. Hello?
To make fun of our sports heroes? Where is your pride?
I will not sit here and let them get away with this.
All that besides though, there are some really good episodes in this show, like Fighting Spirit, which involved Tommy in a coma fighting versions of himself in the past. And even with this new popularity the show was having, Disney still pretty much hated the show and all those Fox Kids shows, even Digimon. And Disney made sure to mess with them at every opportunity they got, including slashing budgets and forcing them to censor major elements of the show. Dino Thunder was also known to have some contract stipulations with Tommy actor Jason David Frank, knowing that the actor was able to take 10 episodes off from being physically seen on set, making him only a voice character in the suit for several episodes. Now, these budget constraints would be felt a lot more in one of, I think, is the most creative seasons that Disney has done, Power Rangers S.P.D.
Power Rangers Dino Thunder. We'll be back on ABC Kids.
Comic question of the day though, what was your favorite moment in Power Rangers Disney history? For me, it was all those interactive Flash games that would be on the Jetix website. I would be on there playing all day. It was so much fun. And the toys were so creative at the time. I just remember getting SWAT mode figures like Shadow and Omega. They didn't have SWAT mode, but here they do now. Oh, and I will say, of course, waking up at 5 a.m. to watch Power Rangers RPM, that was great for an 8-year-old me. Leave a comment down below and leave a like to lock in your answer. 2,000 likes, and I'll make more videos just like this one.
Now, back to Power Rangers S.P.D, part of Jetix.
S.P.D is known for having some of the most intricate props and set design thanks to the new executive producer, Greg Arnowitz, prop designer for movies like Jurassic Park: The Lost World. But alongside Greg was Bruce Kalish. Jackie Marchand would also stay on board as a writer. The series would focus on a future team of heroes in the year of 2025. Get it? Guys, that's the year we're in right now. And this series is just a whole nother high. Even having a theme song by Ron Wasserman, the original song maker for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. he bought The Rock back into it. But the budget cuts were also, of course, felt here too, as a prime example being Disney's apparent refusal to hire an extra actor for S.P.D's Sixth Ranger, forcing them, Sam, to be nothing but a ball of light, except when morphed. Disney would also allegedly not allocate a budget for creation of Kruger's wife, Yesenia, having Greg Arnowitz pay out of pocket and designing the costume himself. S.P.D was also known for being very over budget. They had so many explosions. They bought the boom. Okay, I gotta stop. And all those explosions ultimately forced the next season Mystic Force and its episode count to be cut by 6 episodes, bringing the total of 32 down from 38, as well as not having an S.P.D crossover in Mystic Force. All we got was Piggy.
Yikes!
I mean, S.P.D had 2 Dino Thunder crossovers. Was that necessary? I don't think so. The cut budget from Mystic Force also was allegedly used to fund the last season of Witch.
You believe what we just did?
Catch an all-new Witch next Saturday on ABC Kids.
And apparently, Mystic Force was also forced by Disney to have a rap opening instead of the rock theme song that was made by Ron Wasserman. Which of course was the better song, but I like rap and I like the Mystic Force rap. Here come the Power Rangers, here come the Power Rangers. During the time of S.P.D's airing, Jetix would do a lot of emphasis on what they call Power Rangers Generations, which was a name for reruns of Mighty Morphin up until Wild Force, showing the past Power Rangers adventures. So with all the years of content, new and old, they could film multiple marathons for weeks on end over on Jetix. And full series marathons with highlights of weapons and Zords would be common through the time of the block. Some of the notable marathons from the 2000s include the Red, White, and Blue Marathon for 4th of July, Strength in Numbers Marathon showing crossover events, the Tommy Trilogy Marathon showing Tommy's history, the Omega Ranger Reveal Marathon showing 6 Ranger episodes, and Spells and Steel Marathon showing Zeo Gold, Lightspeed Titanium, and the new Solaris Knight. Power Rangers Generations would also receive some highlights via Happy Meal toys. I remember specifically having the blue S.P.D toy, but there were also ones for Mystic Force, Dino Thunder, and Mighty Morphin. Happy Meal toys were frequent in the beginning of the Disney era too, with Dino Thunder receiving a toy line in 2004, as well as S.P.D getting an exclusive line in Europe and Brazil for 2005, shared with Disney Channel's Kim Possible, with the last one of the era being Generations, shared alongside their competitor and I guess sister show, Witch, as well as being promo for the upcoming Power Rangers Mystic Force. But hey, these are for sure better than whatever Megazord they used for Lightspeed Rescue. It's so blocky, no Minecraft. Well, they did include a 3D VHS though, I'll give them that much. The budget slashing was truly hit during Mystic Force, as Disney's meddling started to take a hit on the quality of the series in the eyes of fans. But who cares, right? Go Power Rangers! I guess Disney wasn't saying go a lot. Power Rangers Mystic Force was a story about 5 teen sorcerers who were called over to save the planet Earth from darkness. Dark magic type of darkness, guided by their mentor as well as an ancient book, with a series full of magical adventures, dragons and beasts, and of course, a bunch of magical Megazords and trains. I love Mystic Force. It was also a favorite Power Rangers show of mine. They had capes, that was cool. And it was also in 2005 where Disney had bought Power Rangers over to the Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, where they would have 5 Rangers for multiple seasons, swapped out by year, and they would do some posing and some meet and greet near the streets of America. Now, I did a whole video on that many moons ago. They had their own cool Power Rangers car with a lightning bolt. Hidden Mickey in the back, I guess? That was pretty cool. You can also have gotten autographs from the Rangers. I wonder how those looked like. Meanwhile though, Jetix in Europe was straight up loving shows like Power Rangers, as well as a bunch of these older Fox Kids shows. They even went out of the way with printed DVDs of older shows, and even formed a new channel, that being Jetix Play, specifically to run all these shows. It's so confusing, right? Disney Channel's side network had an action block, and that action block got its own spin-off channel in Europe, and then that channel got its own spin-up block. Huh, Jetix was really worldwide. I'm not talking Big Time Rush. And I mention all of this history of Jetix because Power Rangers was a big part of that, and Power Rangers was essential to the Jetix brand. And that popularity that Power Rangers had in other countries across the world, in Europe and in Latin America, pushed the American company to make more shows. In the United States though, despite the hardcore sabotage Disney was doing, it would still have been one of the highest rated shows. And that pushed Jetix into becoming a network of its own in a way. After no longer having its ABC Family block, it took over most of Toon Disney's programming and went from airing weeknights at 7 to 9 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. to 8 a.m. the next morning. And more than that, the weekends were pretty much nothing but Jetix all day, with the recent Power Rangers, including reruns labeled as Power Rangers Generations, would seem to air basically every other hour on the Jetix block. I've looked at multiple Jetix schedules throughout the years, and Power Rangers was literally spammed throughout the network. It could have might as well have been the Power Rangers channel in some way. But with Jetix's rise, the network would start to equip itself with more original content co-productions, including Oban Star Racers and Adam, the latter still being kind of a Power Rangers inspired show. I mean, isn't any colorful group of heroes just a Power Rangers inspired show? You tell me in the comments.
We'll be right back to Power Rangers Mystic Force on Jetix.
Who do these guys think they are?
Excuse me. Excuse me. If I can have your attention. For the last few months, Yin and Yang have been running around the world of Jetix messing with us.
Yeah, and we're sick of it.
This is ridiculous.
Want more comedy? Want more action? Watch these and your favorite shows on Jetix. Now, back to Power Rangers Mystic Force on Jetix.
Jetix would later make two of their biggest hit shows that they would ever do, that being Yin Yang Yo and Puka, two original comedy action shows completely different from Power Rangers, its concept and its inspiration, and of course, they were fully Disney productions.
Okay, what is this? It's Power Rangers Mystic Force. Why are they on the ground? It's not Power Rangers Nap Force. The red guy just woke up.
So they weren't like all those other shows that may have been co-production with other companies in other countries. Disney had them all. Disney had the merchandising rights. They had the toy rights. They did with Power Rangers though, but Disney kind of didn't really have control of that in a way. With Yin Yang Yo and Puka, that was all there. That was all in their pocket. It's their corner. It's their thing. And trust me, they were given the proper love and spotlight that Power Rangers should have gotten sometimes, especially in the later years.
And now back to Power Rangers Operation Overdrive on Jetix.
Meanwhile, in 2007, we had Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, which was the 15th anniversary of the franchise, focusing on 5 new individuals tasked to protect the magical Jews of the Corona Aurora, before 2 villainous brother factions do so themselves. And during its broadcast, it was called by many fans to be a straight up failure in terms of storytelling, acting, and general funness that seemed to be missing. There was also too many explosions. Someone apparently on Reddit said there was over 250 explosions in the show. I don't believe them, but I also believe them. Climax of this show was of course the crossover Once a Ranger, bringing back multiple Disney-era Rangers, as well as the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger Adam. The episode had the Overdrive Rangers essentially quit their Ranger duties after losing their powers, which a lot of people didn't like. But still, that was probably the most watched episode of the series. Myself included, I never watched Overdrive. I'll admit it. 2007 was also the celebration of the 15th anniversary of Power Rangers, and since Operation Overdrive was the 15th season, there was a huge marketing push. This was the 2nd anniversary under Disney's belt, with 2002 being the 10th anniversary. However, Power Rangers X only really had Forever Red to celebrate, so nothing too big. Also, what's so weird is Power Rangers aired in 1993, so 2002 and 2007 being anniversaries instead of 2003 and 2008 are only slightly annoying. Anyways, 2007 really kicked it into overdrive. Besides the Once a Ranger team-up episode, they had a tour around the USA, stopping in 15 cities. Pulling up in an orange limo, people would line up in Toys R Us's all over the country to take pictures with guys in suits, of course. Besides that, they also showed the Mega Mission helmet, one of the bigger Power Ranger toys of the decade, a wearable helmet with lights and sounds and missions that you can play with, and even download some additional ones on the internet. Bandai, of course, was the toy maker throughout this whole decade of Power Rangers, even making a lot of original Power Ranger toys that aren't really in the show. I made a whole video about that, by the way. But Bandai had their presence known for the 15th anniversary, and that year had a release of every single Red Ranger at the time with their own action figure, as well as multi-packs with various posed Rangers as well. Super Legends was also a coined term at the time, culminating 2007 with the video game of the same name. 2000's had so many video games for Power Rangers, with publisher THQ making Game Boy Advance games for Wild Force, Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder and S.P.D all back to back, with Dino Thunder even getting their own fully fledged game for the PlayStation 2. I'm talking cutscenes and all, it was a full game. Now, Super Legends was the only true Disney interactive game that they published in this era, and had additions for Windows, the PS2, and the Nintendo DS. Starring a selection of 16 Power Rangers from various seasons, as well as Megazords, this goes through the course of the Power Rangers series, as Lord Zed is revived, and the new game-exclusive Omega Ranger would get Rangers from the past to help him out. This anniversary was also truly the start of pushing nostalgia for the Power Rangers legacy big time. I remember them using the Super Legends pictures up until the end of this Disney era. I remember being filled with pics of this line of Red Rangers, as well as new pics of Mighty Morphin Red. Disney and Bandai are finally noticing in 2007 that hey, Mighty Morphin is pretty popular, you know, we just had a season with Tommy back in it, and now those 90s kids have their own money where they can spend on Mighty Morphin toys yet again. But besides all this anniversary hype and nostalgia findings, the show was still very much on a decline. So at this point, Disney was ready to cancel the series for good. Forever.
We did it! The Power Rangers are old!
Until Jetix Europe said, let's not do that. Why does Jetix Europe sound like that? As well as Bandai of America, they were selling all these toys, which was making all this money. And even though Power Rangers was on a decline, it didn't start at Operation Overdrive. It kind of started with Mystic Force in a way with all those budget cuts. Disney was still forced to do the show. So they said, okay, let's make one more season. Power Rangers Jungle Fury. The series focuses on 3 Pai Shui students who try to stop Dai Shi, the spirit of pure evil that had gotten re-released in the world, and wanting animals to rule the world with it. And this season was the final series to be produced under Bruce Kalish. The show is a little comparable to Ninja Storm in some ways, and it's a return to formula, because you know, they still got some martial arts, but now they got RJ, the coolest mentor ever. Jungle Fury of course had its fair share of budget cuts, no crossover episode this season. There was also no Battleizer this season, which started during In Space and was a yearly tradition that still continued on to the Disney era. So much so that the Japanese even used the S.P.D Battleizers for one of their crossover movies. In its place was the Jungle Strike Cruiser, a bike that could also give the Red Ranger some armor. Nothing too crazy. The big thing though this time was not just 1, but 3 original Rangers being the Spirit Rangers. It had a lot of cool elements, and Jungle Fury was it was fun. I had a great time, but it didn't do much to sway the minds of Disney and turn his TV off, ayy. Cancel this show, ayy. By this point in 2008, Toon Disney was effectively nothing but Jetix, and they didn't really try to hide it either. It was a full-on takeover of Jetix. And since there were now so many more hours in the Jetix schedule, Disney didn't know what to do with their huge library of shows, as Power Rangers Generations was slowly being taken off the lineup, with only Jungle Fury reruns and maybe one other recent show being on the daily schedule. As other times, they would have full up old 1990s Marvel shows, and even some kids WB stuff too, very quickly knocking Power Rangers out the spotlight. Disney was just collecting more of Infinity Stones because, you know, they were getting Marvel too pretty soon. They were buddies with them, but now they're just locked in. So with this new superhero brand with the Hulk and Iron Man and Spider-Man, they're like, we don't need Power Rangers. That's doo-doo. And after Jungle Fury ended production, Disney would try canceling the show for good once again. But of course, they were forced once again to make another series by Jetix Europe and Bandai of America, resulting in Power Rangers RPM, which coincidentally is an apocalyptic series about a team of Rangers on the domed last city of Earth. And according to RPM producer Eddie Gazillion, the mouse was very publicly embarrassed to be airing and producing the series. Another thing to note about this season, it was only aired on ABC Kids. And at this point in 2009, ABC Kids was just a bunch of Disney Channel shows that had basically already ended, except Hannah Montana. But Hannah Montana was already on its way out, and they were airing season 1 of Hannah Montana. So this was just old Disney Channel shows. You know, That's So Raven, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, The Replacements. Like, I remember this lineup. It was getting old. A personal note to add to this, one of the core memories that I had from this era was in 2009 Halloween, when the Disney Store was giving away free copies of a Power Rangers RPM DVD. This famously contained the RPM episode In or Out, as well as having Ranger move extras from the Operation Overdrive DVDs, if you guys remember when he just pointed when he's ready to go, as well as featuring a video of the brand new Mighty Morphin toys, which just felt like an extended slideshow. This DVD today is now one of the rarest Power Rangers DVDs, but I'm sure you can find it on eBay. But this decision to make RPM probably broke Disney to crash out big time, because they soon bought out the entirety of Jetix Europe, which was previously publicly traded on the Euronext Amsterdam Stock Exchange, meaning shares were available to institutional and individual investors. So you're saying I could have invested in Power Rangers in 2009? I should have invested in Bitcoin and then invested that into Power Rangers. But I was in 4th grade. However, Disney's majority stake overshadowed other shareholders when they bought it out. So they shut down the whole entire brand of Jetix just to replace it with Disney XD.
On TV, online, everywhere. Check your local listing.
Disney XD was a new teen boy channel that had no Power Rangers at all, and just original live action and some acquired animated series. One of these new shows was a show called Aaron Stone. You thought I was gonna mention Zeke and Luther, right? That wasn't Power Rangers inspired. Aaron Stone, though, was worked on by Bruce Kalish, you know, the guy that's been doing Power Rangers for many years now. And funny enough, Jason Smith originally auditioned for the lead of Aaron Stone, and Bruce liked him enough to have him audition for Power Rangers, which eventually he would get the role for the Red Ranger, Casey. Power Rangers would officially air on Jetix for the last time on February 9th, 2009, before converting to Disney XD on February 13th. This article by the New Zealand Herald on March 7th, 2009 would officially call Power Rangers RPM the last season ever, with production manager Sally Campbell stating, quote, "At this stage, we will not be shooting another season," unquote. That's all we needed to hear. Power Rangers was sentenced to die on ABC Kids, and RPM would soon end.
We did it! The Power Rangers are over! We'll be right back with more Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on ABC Kids!
Don't get time off, mate, because there ain't no rest for the wicked, know what I mean? Power Rangers every day, yes!
We're back for more Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on ABC Kids!
On October 1st, 2009, Bandai of America would release a press release stating that Disney would instead rebroadcast the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers starting in January 2010 on ABC Kids, with an accompanying toy line that would be released a month after the press release by holiday of 2009. MMPR 2010 would go on to air on ABC Kids until the block's over-the-air telecast would end on August 28, 2010, turning the time slot over back to its local affiliates, and fans were left with the memory of MMPR episodes with comic book effects that looked so bad, you might as well have forgot the show even existed. But that only led to Haim Saban, the evilest person on the planet, the guy I hate the most, to buy back Power Rangers in 2010 and then make Power Rangers Samurai and the rest of the Neo Saban era.
I can't believe it! The Power Rangers are back!
Which is just a whole nother story for a video I already made. Check it out. The purpose of Jetix was essentially to give the Saban shows and Power Rangers an opportunity to turn a profit for Disney, but as Power Rangers grew in popularity, they did not want the responsibility in their hands. And as soon as they got it out of their hands and threw it on a local channel, there was no reason to keep it going. Power Rangers could have only worked on Disney in this specific period of time, in this series of 8 or 9 still years where they didn't own Marvel, they didn't have a big conglomerate. It could have just worked here, and for that reason, because of Disney's meddling, we got some of the best Power Rangers series. The whole trio of Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, S.P.D, loved by fans. You know, we did have Mystic Force, Operation Overdrive, and Jungle Fury, which are questionably mixed by fans, but have gotten recent, new fans in current time. And then we have Power Rangers RPM, which by a lot of fans, is one of the best Power Rangers seasons of all time, being an apocalyptic, very mature show for being TVY7FV and airing 5 AM on ABC networks. That was just the Disney magic that Power Rangers had, and it's honestly unforgettable. Even especially watching all the Power Ranger series that came after that in the Neo Saban era, and how fans saw how bad that was, it kind of made them realize, hey, we had some good stuff back in the day. What do you guys think about the history of Disney and Power Rangers? I think it's crazy. I think about it all the time, because I'm just like, how did this even happen? Money. Obviously money. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Dino and Fuego. I'm also on Instagram, Not Don Fuego. Having a morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at. And of course, as always, stay awesome, everybody.